Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to the show. I am Obiajulu Olabisi Ubu, and with me are the ladies. Hello, Alahajanima.
Yes, I'm fine.
How are you doing today?
I'm grateful to God. Sunday is our birthday.
Yes, it's your birthday on Sunday.
Your birthday on Sunday.
My birthday on Sunday, and on Monday, I'll be grateful to God for 13 years being an adult. I'm married.
30 what years?
13.
13.
Am
I older than you? Or being married?
Yes, I'm being married, yes.
I thought you were saying you were 13 years of age. So that
I'm
was
13 years of age.
No, you know she's 17, so she's wondering
no,
if
she's older than me. So yesterday on my banter, I mentioned the Muslim Teens event coming up, and I was called out for not, clarifying how my child is a teenager. So my child is 9, she'll be 10 by January. And the age gap is 9 to 17, so she qualifies very well. And for the 3 days, I'm looking at the events. I'm targeting some of the events. I want her to be good at speaking. A friend of mine will be handling speaking at the event, Mutia Olagoke, and I know that she's expert at it. And then I'm looking at that emotional intelligence as well. So Olajobi is in charge of that, my child psychology. So you can target whatever of the events for the 3 days that you need for that event. But I'll be there. It's happening at the Islamic Education Initiative in Magodo here. So we'll be coming to work together.
Amazing. That's nice. Lunch you want to take us to? Is it on Sunday?
It's on Tuesday.
Ah, okay. Lunch.
Is it
I'm still arranging it. It's us now.
Well, whoever
have to go
does
for lunch
the...
now.
Qatar. This one she's doing. I did not put it on Wednesday for a reason.
No problem. There's no problem. I'm doing great. I'm amazing. But I noticed something this morning on my way to work. So there's this particular car, Hilux. It had facilitated by a particular member of the House of Representatives written on it. I don't want to call the name of the politician because I don't want it to be about that person, but it's about the driver. So he was driving behind a police van and obviously trying to catch up to the van, but there were cars in between and we're on the bridge. And there was this car that was ahead of this Hilux. Do you know, this driver in that car almost ran that man off the road, off the bridge. He was upset. He was upset that that car was ahead of. Yeah, did not disappear. Was ahead of it. Yeah. And then when he could get to him, almost ran him off the bridge. I'm like, why would you do that?
But that's what
I took a video, and I'm going to try and see if I can send it to the appropriate authorities. That person needs to be called, because I have seen an accident with my eyes that was caused by reckless driving like that on that same bridge. And then this person, because of ego or for whatever reason, wanted to run an innocent, responsible Nigerian driving normally on the road because you were hurrying up. And then you put the name of this politician, on the papers because people will drag that person. But you are the reason that the other person is in Abuja. You are here in Lagos misbehaving. It's so wrong. I will try and make sure that that person is found out and reprimanded for this.
I think we need to start taking videos because I see that a lot, especially on Lekki Expressway when you're driving and they just come in with the siren and all that. They nearly push you out of the road. They want immediately you start hearing that siren, just freeze wherever you are.
I hope the video has the plate number.
There's no plate number on the thing, but it took enough. There's enough. You cannot deny the car.
Okay. I've been shooting. I got home very late yesterday. Yeah, so it's been back to back, but I hope to round up this weekend. I was supposed to have done my photo shoot for products that are ready, waiting in my bedroom. Mr. Agbo wants me to clear that space because his bedroom is not market store, marketplace, But because I'm going to be on set now, I won't be able to do the shoot. So I need to find another time that hopefully I'll be able to do that shoot. So it's after the show now, I'm heading back to set to do my thing. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll take the newspaper reviews. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. So let's start with the nation. Government won't interfere in Ekwerimadu's case. No going back on 5% telecom tax, says federal government. Minister aware of duty. Military arrests 2 ISWAP kingpins over Owo attack. Buhari, Nigeria must get 2023 consensus right. Terrorists creating parallel government in Kaduna, El Rufai tells Buhari. Governor's objection to $480 million Paris Club refund, mere noise, says Malami. Presidential guards killed by terrorists buried. Lawma proposes 50% tariff hike. APC vice chair, Northwest governors behind Tinubu. PDP crisis, Ayu won't quit, party ESCO tells Wike others. 7 Yahoo boys jailed in Ibadan. 37-year-old beheaded in church. Okay, what are the stories we're taking quickly?
So let me just quickly get the 418 million. This money no will let us rest. So the Attorney General for the Federation and the Minister for Justice has responded on why this money has to be paid to the consultants. He on his own says that it is mere noise for the present constituents of the Nigerian Governors Forum to be the ones objecting to this payment. That their predecessors willingly engaged the consultants to recover the Paris Club refund. When the refund was paid, they also agreed, made demands for the refund to be distributed per state. And part of the demand was that they presented for the consideration of the federal government was a component related to the payment of these consultants that now constitute the subject of contention. Those were his words. And so they put as part of their demands for the refund to be distributed to states, governors at the time, that part of that money should be used for the payment of the consultants. When the money was ready to be paid, they then decided, some states then said, okay, let's just pay part, let's not pay all. And so the consultants went to court, and they then agreed on a consent judgment, which they willingly signed, all that those past predecessors of the NGF signed that consent judgment with the consultants on how payments would be made. Wow. Now they went back and forth all these agreements that was willingly done. He wasn't even Minister for Justice at the time. Minister of Justice at the time, nobody was. This set of governors were not in the picture at the time. And now that it is due to be paid by their own administration, there are issues. They are now making issues out of it, that the present constituents of the Governors Forum are the ones making noise and making issues out of it. He said he had suspected that this money and this consultant's payment was like the P&ID deal, where somebody struck a deal that is shrouded in secrecy. So you had the EFCC, the DSS, investigate the consultant's claim and see if there's any need for them to treat it with suspicion. The reports came back clean, that the consultants reached this agreement and they delivered their services. And so he didn't have any reason to not pay them, and that he's thinking, why are you delaying for that? So that these people don't then come back later with a clear case, and then they have to then pay more than is due. So he says,
even interest on top.
Yes, what is being done is mere delay.
You have a story?
Yes, I do. So the Kaduna State Governor, in a memo written to the President, is saying that he has strong intelligence to show that terrorists have infiltrated and dominated some communities in Kaduna State and have formed a parallel government. He says they are exercising control over social and economic activities. They are dispensing justice in this area of their control, and that they've advanced plans to make Kaduna forest areas their permanent operation base. Wow. I took a few examples to show how they are dominating this community. So the governor, El Rufai, says that they observed movement patterns that intercepted communications of migrating terrorists that showed them setting up base. They gave an example that the insurgents have enacted a law in the district banning all forms of political activity or campaign ahead of the 2023 elections. They also fined a particular resident called Muazu Ibrahim a sum of ₦1 million for selling plots of land without the consent, of the owner. So they have become a government in these communities. Wow. They are dispensing justice. They are determining economic and political activities in those communities. Yeah,
and what are the security agencies doing there around them?
Weddings are happening. There's everything. Wow. They are just living like normal people. So we need to sort this out quickly.
As fast as we can. So the federal government has vowed to go ahead with the planned implementation of a 5% hike in call and data tariff. According to the statement from the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, it said the tariff will go on in spite of resistance from the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Professor Ali Pantami. I think I took that about last week, where he resisted, saying he's going to fight this to the finish. Now, the government said it will begin the implementation of 5% excise duty on all voice calls, SMS, and data services, in addition to the existing 7.5% value-added tax paid for goods and services across all sectors of the economy. And they are saying that the 5% excise duty will be collected by telecom operators and payments made to the federal government on a monthly basis. Also reacting, they explained that this excise duty has been in the Finance Act 2020, but has never been implemented. I'm worried why we are beginning to implement it now. And this, yes, this excise duty that the telcos are going to be paying, they have said that they cannot take in the cost. They are going to push it back to the consumers. So we end up paying as high as 40,000 per minute.
I have a story
40 naira per minute.
The Loma story. So,
okay, go ahead.
According to Loma, they have to do a 50% tariff hike increase in their costs. And quickly, the managing director, Ibrahim Oduboni, says that this is because, of course, diesel has gone up. PSP operators are facing higher costs in operations, cost of overheads, cost of diesel and spare parts for their trucks. We see the way these people have to work, and you know, so that is why they have to do that increase. And he also mentioned that 83 persons have been convicted and jailed related to environmental and indiscriminate disposal of waste in the last 1 year. That, you know, 1,200 have been penalized are made to sweep, while 3,000 have been fined for offenses related to the same issue in the state. Okay,
moving on now to the Punch. Nigeria loses 101 billion worth of oil, says OPEC. Malami NGF on collision costs over $418 million deductions. Controversy as Seplat denies ExxonMobil deal cancellation. Federal government rules out interference in Ekweremadu's UK trial. Fire engulfs National Assembly store, destroys documents. Wike sues Atiku. Tambuwal demands recognition as candidates. Governor asks courts to order INEC to remove Atiku's name from candidates list. Wike faults Tambuwal's withdrawal for Atiku, says PDP acted in bad faith. Atiku has not been served, says media aide. PDP spokesman keeps mum. Buhari's security guards killed in ambush and buried. Federal government hasn't informed ASU of cash crunch. Usodeke. Canada-bound postgraduate student killed. Edo family demands justice. Doctors decide on strike Sunday. Begin advocacy visits. What stories? Can we quickly
Major headlines. Okay, so Wike, governor of Rivers State, is suing PDP and their flag bearer, Atiku, former vice president. He has a whole list of things that he has problems with, and he wants, and he hopes that, you know, the court would see to it. So he said, first of all, there are procedures and guidelines to the primaries and how the elections are meant to have been carried out, but these were not followed, and that even during the period he saw it was obvious that the procedures and guidelines were not followed, and that if he wanted to scuttle the whole thing, he would have made noise then, but he decided to take his time. He said, first of all, Tambuwal had come out like every other candidate, you know, to ask for votes from his delegates, and then he came out again after the votes have been made to say he's transferring his votes to Atiku. He said the time in which he did that, after, by stepping down for Atiku, after the votes had been cast, as for it's illegal, and so that transfer is void. And if that's the case, that would make Wike the one that won the primaries. Yeah. He says PDP also acted negligently and in bad faith by assigning the Sokoto governor's votes to Atiku. That means the PDP also played the part in it. After realizing that that was not meant to be done at the time he did it, they still went ahead to take these votes and hand it over to Atiku. Everyone spoke once, he said, but Tambuwal was given an opportunity to speak twice, you know, and also campaign again, you know, during that time. He says he's asking that the court remove Atiku from the list of candidates in the 2023 presidential elections, and that Tambuwal's votes that have been transferred and assigned should be made, null and void. And he's saying also, he's asking that the PDP national chairman, that if they want Wike to campaign for Atiku, the PDP national chairman has to resign. That's the only condition in which he's willing to campaign. They've asked them, you know, like feedback from all the other parties involved. We haven't heard anything from them. I'm sure very soon we will hear except for the PDP chairman who says he's not getting down until the election is done. So.
Let's take a breather here. When we come back, the newspaper reviews continue. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So still on the Punch, I have a story here. It said family members and friends of a petroleum engineering graduate of the University of Benin, Edo State, Jeffrey Omoroge, have been thrown into mourning after a driver crushed him to death on Uselu-Lagos Expressway, Uselu, in Ego local government area of the state. So according to the story, they said he was on his way to the bank to wait for his mother, who promised to give him some money because he's planning to relocate to Canada to complete his master's on the 28th of August. And so on his way, he just was about to cross the Uselu Road when this vehicle came out of nowhere and just rammed into him. Said the impact was so bad that he died on the spot. So the mother was in a taxi heading to the bank on her way, and she saw some people gathered, and she just came down to, they have to take this person to the hospital. They have to take the only for her. I'm telling you, when she looked, she saw her child. She just broke down and started crying. She had died on the spot. They had rushed him to the hospital. So the case has been in the police. The family members are now saying that the police is sort of protecting the suspect because they had found him. His car had been in custody, but they are not releasing, they are not showing the suspect to the parents. They've been going back and forth to find out. So it seems like there's a sort of cover-up, and they're asking for justice for their son. He has to pay for the crime that he has committed. Okay, do we have any other story in the Punch?
In the Punch, the soldiers that were they were laid to rest, the soldiers that were part of the Guards Brigade that were killed recently in the attack about 2 weeks ago. And they were laid to rest yesterday. Yesterday. And basic details of it, you know, usually they will start to give honorary flowery words talking about their gallantry and all of that. But I hope that in the details of this story, they follow through the care of their families. We've seen how this plays out, and it's always very depressing to see that the families are completely abandoned. We're presently fighting a war, and people whose lives go for this, for our unity, are not totally disregarded after their demise.
All right, moving on to the Daily Sun. Stop killings in Southeast. Others, Catholic bishop tells government. Terrorists creating parallel governments in Kaduna. Miriam has taken that story. Nigeria, UNDP, Obasanjo, George, paints gloomy picture. Troops kill 74 terrorists, rescue 45 kidnapped victims. Federal government continue to deduct the $480 million Paris Club refund, Malami. Ekweremadu, why federal government can't interfere, Malami. I'm committed to a better Nigeria anchored on youth development, Obi. Muslim ticket irresponsible, reprehensible, says Bishop Kuka. President assures of safe return of remaining 31 abducted train passengers. PDP dares Wike, says IU can't go now. Ministers fight over planned phone tariff hike. What stories do we have in the Sun?
Troops of Nigerian Armed Forces operating the Northwest, North Central, and Northeast theaters of operation have eliminated over 74 terrorist bandits in both land and air operations in the last 2 weeks. So this is their regular bi-weekly report that they would give us from the Defense Headquarters. And they mentioned that the Defense Headquarters had mentioned the killing of the top ISWAP commander, I think you took that story.
Yes.
Because I remember the name. Shannon seemed quite Yoruba, but, you know. So he was killed, and then they gave a whole lot of other things that they had done, you know, weekly and by day. And there's this particular one, they said between July 31st and August 2, they arrested one Malam Yahaya, a notorious bandit informant who had been on the tracking list of the DSS for collaborating with bandits on numerous attacks in Sabon Burning General area of Sokoto State, and so many other ones. So this is good news. It just shows us, because many times, you know, the stories of how the bandits and insurgents, their own side of the story usually is heard more. Of course, the impact is even felt more. But it's also good to keep up to date with what our troops are doing. We know that also, just from what you have read, Nima, they lose their lives also in the defense of our country. So thank you very much for your hard work, and we pray that God will continue to give you the success to do more and do better in protecting our country.
Okay, let's move on now quickly to the Vanguard. El Rufai writes Buhari, says terrorists creating parallel government in Kaduna. We've taken that. 2023, I remain committed to better Nigeria, anchored on youth development. 2023, Catholics blast Lalong over reference to Pope, demand apology. I hope someone has a story. Nigeria Air, experts fault federal government operational model for new career. Finance Minister insists on 5% telecom tax. Our massacre, military DSS nabbed 2 more suspects. What do we have in the Vanguard?
Under the aegis of concerned Catholics in Nigeria, the Catholics have condemned the governor, Simon Lalong's reference to the Pope in his defense of his acceptance to serve as the DG of the APC Presidential Campaign Council in 2023. They said that, and he quickly responded. He says that his reference to the Pope is not derogatory in any way, that his reference was part of his reverence, as a mark of reverence of the Pope, that, you know, he didn't mean to disrespect the faith or the Pope as it is. And they are asking that he apologizes with immediate effect on the issue. And we're hoping that he follows through.
Yeah. So, you know, we've been complaining about our foreign exchange crisis and rising unemployment. At the backdrop of that, stakeholders in the aviation sector are faulting the operational model of the new national carrier, Nigeria Air, especially the takeoff plant. And I'm going to take it here. So the Minister of State for Aviation last week, that's Hadi Sirika, last week, hinted that the national airline will start with a wet lease of 3 aircraft soon. But some industry stakeholders are telling the Vanguard that the implication of the takeoff model was a total disregard of the earlier stated rationale for setting up the airline. They said the airline will create employment in the sector while conserving foreign exchange. But now the wet lease model will mean taking both the foreign aircraft along with the foreign crew that will be paid salaries and allowances in foreign currency. That's where the problem is. Also, the maintenance and other services will be done by the owners of the aircraft. That's going to be costing us, you know, dollars. So stakeholders are now arguing that running such a national carrier model in the present economic situation of the country is absurd, and it signals that the federal government does not even have a clear understanding of how this sector is being run. The sector itself has been proposed to go up about $8.8 million in preliminary cost and $300 million as takeoff cost. So it's been what has been debated. First of all, you wanted to have Nigeria Air so that we can give employment to people, try and use everything nationally so that we're not constantly depending on Forex. And now the wet lease model is going to mean that we're going to be taking out of the Forex that we don't even have. I think they need to look into this. Okay, go ahead.
A war attack. The Defense Headquarters announced the arrest of 2 additional suspects in connection with the June 5th attack. They also said that the arrests were made barely hours after the disclosure of the arrest of 4 terrorists behind the attack by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo. He mentioned specifically, he said that it's instructive to note that Abdul Halim, alongside other high-profile Israel commanders, had also previously coordinated attacks on military targets in Okene, local government of Kogi State, that has led to casualties. And, you know, they're also giving us their they're saying that it's the government, the Nigerian government wish, you know, and to make sure that all these people are apprehended and are punished.
Yeah. So quickly, the Nigerian Tribune, I don't think we can take it, but state government workers suffer over backlog of unpaid salaries. Budget survey, Abia, Taraba, Ondo, O workers. Field subsidy scam. Reps to probe over 200 accounts domiciled with CBN. Which other story have we not taken here?
Kaduna train.
Which one? Kaduna train. Okay, if you have that story, quickly take
Yes, it's just saying that our president met with the representatives of the victims, the families of the victims, and one of the things that he said, just take away with, he said the reason he didn't use military force was because of the collateral damage he was trying to avoid.
Stories that touch.
But he also reassured that, you know,
that they're working to make sure that the remaining 31 people who are left will be rescued.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Let's take a short break. Coming up next is a sponsored segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us on the show is the consultant, corporate communication, Kolawole Ojelabi, and the brands and communication touch and pay, Damilola Adebeshi. They will be speaking on how carry card payments on BRT and ferries work. Welcome to the show, sir and young lady.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing today?
Very good.
Hi, thank you.
So we've heard about the carry card, and we want you to tell us exactly what it is and how it works.
Okay, carry card is payment card for public transportation in Lagos State. Lamata, as an organization, we are involved in the planning and regulation of regulated public transport system. And so in order for us to ensure that all funds are appropriately captured, so we needed a single payment platform for public transportation. So that's why carry card came into place. So with your carry card, you can use it on the BRT. We have buses that are also called standard routes. These are buses that move in mixed traffic. You can use it there. Then also the first and last mile, which are the community buses. They take you from your doorstep into the main transit corridor. So they travel not more than 5 kilometers. So, for instance, you're living in Ayobo and you're coming to Yanaipaja, to join the BRT, there will be an FLM bus to take you from that point. So the carry card ensures that, you are able to pay for your transport system.
That's awesome.
That's nice. That's just like the Oyster card.
Oyster card in London, yes.
So so I just want to know, is carry card the only type of card that provides this service, or are there other options? And if there is, what makes yours special? Okay. Especially, let me just add, especially like recently we had heard about this Lazarus card where it's supposed to do almost everything plus pay for transportation. How would that compete with you, or is this something that will be incorporated in that?
Well, I think going forward, that's what we're going to have. For instance, if you go to Hong Kong, they have the Octopus card. The Octopus cards can be used for your transport system. You can use it to shop. You can use it as access control into your offices, into your homes, and the rest of it. So, but at the end of the day, I think that's where we'll be going to. But, technology is something that we need to understand in this part of the country. So, and the moment we're able to understand technology very well, then we'll be able to use it. Currently, this is used on the bus system, and it's also used on the ferry system. So it's a gradual process, and we're going to get there.
So it's meeting Nigerians where they are right now.
Exactly.
One day at a time.
Yes,
so
one day at a time.
How does someone get the card? How do you go about getting the card?
You can get the card at terminals. We have various BRT terminals. We have at Yaba, we have at HOD, we have at TBS. You can get a card at any of those terminals when you miss with they sell the cards. We have the plastic plastic card, just like this.
Okay, let me pause you there a bit. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. So I wanted to ask Damilola, what's the connection between touch and pay and cowrie? Where do you come in?
All right, so Lamata is our boss, generally. Lamata is the governing body for transportation in Lagos State. And we have been commissioned Touch and Pay as the technological partner. So we are the ones powering the card for Lamata. So Lamata has given us the concession to do that.
Oh, that's amazing. Then she asked a question as well.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, you can get the card at any BRT terminal. Wherever BRT stops, wherever BRT loads from, you can get the cards from there. Anywhere you see BRT buses stopping, loading, you can get the card from there.
So what are the steps? When you get the card, what do you do with the card?
Yeah, to start, we have two different types of cards.
Okay.
They function the same way, but their durability is different. Oh. So first of all, we have the plastic card, which is usually sold for 400 naira. And then we have the paper card. It's just a card, and it's sold for 200 naira.
Oh, which is environmentally sustainable, by the
way. Yeah, but it's the plastic card is more durable, so it won't get folded or anything like that. But they still work. There's no problems with it. So once you get the card, you'd have to register. The agent will ask you to provide your phone number, and with your phone number, you'll be registered on the card. Just as simple as that, nothing more.
Yeah. So, Mr. Kola, tell us how this cowrie card has impacted the lives of Lagosians. That's one. Then why cowrie? Like when I heard cowrie, I was expecting to see our cowries.
No, what for you?
So tell us, please.
Okay, I would say that in terms of public transportation in Lagos State, there are over 2 million cards that have been given.
Okay.
And so with the 2 million cards, people are able to access BRT, standard route, FLM buses without the issue of no change. The conductors will tell you, enter with your change, or otherwise I will join you together. There's nothing like joining anybody together again.
Yes.
That is one. Then secondly, for both the operator and the government, you can secure the funds. Unlike when a driver will come back home in the evening and tell you that, oh, since morning, it will not declare that he didn't make profit or that was arrested and the rest of it. But with the cowrie card, the money goes straight into a collection
Talking about
account.
money, how do I put the money inside?
Okay, putting the money inside, I think Damilola was explaining it. What you just need to do, you can
go to the BRT.
You can go to the BRT, and also you can also load online. So it will go to your wallet, and from your wallet, when you get to a typical terminal, you just go and transfer it into the card.
If the money has finished or is not enough, will it work?
It will not work.
Okay. I'd like to say something, a new feature that we just added.
Okay.
This is a new feature, and so we've been. I would like to say yesterday clocked 2 years that cowrie has been in operations. So I mean, from getting feedbacks and all that, we realized that a lot of people have like 10 naira remaining in their card or 15 naira, and they're about to board a bus of 300 naira. And does that mean they'll go back home? So what we've done is that we've created like an overdraft feature on the cowrie card, which makes you to be able to access a trip, even if you have just 10 naira or 15 naira or any amount that is not even up to what you need. So it will enable you to be able to board a bus and make that trip. So whenever you have money, then you can just
That is so thoughtful. Thank you.
So thoughtful. So I also wanted to ask, are you people in any way trying to accommodate old men and women who are pensioners, maybe in the future, who can have this card for free and can take transportation? Because most of them, we still know that they are owing them salary.
Of course, in the UK, they have what they call the Freedom Card. And so in Lagos also, we're thinking about something like that. But of course, before you do anything like that, it has to go through legislation. You have to go through government has to approve of it. But
are you people thinking about it?
How about,
process has started.
Okay, how about, is it on ground or also thinking about the students who are going off to school?
The same thing for students too.
You're thinking about it, how you can compare.
We have the Office of Civic Engagement, and we're also talking to the Office of Civic Engagement. They are already working on something like this. So if, for instance, you are giving this card to a student, And you can say, okay, every month we are going to give the student 2,000 naira
on their card.
on their card. And so the parents will now have to
pay the rest.
Pay the rest, yes.
That's good.
This is good news. I'm just thinking everything about the system and the payment system that you have talked about is just so beautiful. I'm just thinking that, in case of a crime, like, we've had in the past, this will help in tracing.
Data collection.
So this is very innovative.
So
I tell you what, a lot of people have forgotten their items on the buses. And so all they just need to do, because the card has a number.
Okay.
The moment you code the number and you code the number of the card and you tell the number of the bus. Now, not the registration number, but the card, every bus has a unique code. So just quote that number, and with it, you will get your items retrieved.
Some people might not even be able to get that number, but at least you know that you took that particular trip at so time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, we have it.
So we had an
exactly.
Good. I was going there. We had an unfortunate incident that happened of the young girl that got on the bus, and the sad story. And when you mentioned data collection, this you'll be able to determine exactly where the person was or the last point so far. In what ways would you tell us, apart from the ones that we've heard, that you think that this has helped to, curb crime or has helped police in investigating or intercepting crime?
Well, one thing that each of the buses has, it has, an inbuilt camera, to capture. But of course, given the tendencies of some of us, some of them do deactivate this. But at the back end, there's a way for us to get. So at the moment that is discovered, such people are actually apprehended, and the necessary punishment is meted out.
Okay, sir. Are there any final words you want the audience to know about using this card?
Okay. Mr.
Okay, this card is very versatile.
Okay.
And don't forget also that the governor of Lagos State is actually promoting, the construction of two rail lines, the blue and the red lines. The fixed infrastructure for this line will be ready by the end of this year. And so by first quarter of next year, this is also one of the cards that we begin to use. So for those of them who do not have these cards now, we ask you to go and get yours.
That's amazing. Final word?
Yeah. I would also like to add that recently the Lazarus card was launched. That is a Lagos State residential card. That card also allows you to be able to make payments on this BRT bus. So with that same card, you can also load it and also have access to our buses. And finally, I'd like to let people know that if they have any problems or they have any issues concerning these buses or the use of this card, they should not hesitate to call any of the numbers behind it or reach out to us on any of our...
You guys will
for all
respond.
complaints,
Exactly.
right?
All
As
complaints
as soon as
Thank
possible.
you so much, Mr. Kolawole Ojelabi and Damilola Adebishi for coming on the show. And that's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we take our hot topics. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. There has been mixed reactions as Catholic Bishop of Uyo Diocese, John Ebebe Aya, over the weekend rejected Governor Ben Ayade's 25 million donation to the church. The bishop was seen in a viral video rejecting the donation from the governor during a Thanksgiving Mass held on Sunday in Calabar. According to the bishop, the governor is my brother. We are both from Cross River North. I want to appreciate him and tell him to package whatever he has for me, add to it, and use it to pay the salaries of the workers. We would like to hear your thoughts on this. You can join the conversation and call us on 081-270-53687 or 091-390-7699. 948. You can also tweet to us using the hashtag YourViewTVC, and we would like to hear from you. Hey, Auntie Nima. So my thing was, what is it with the public rejection? Why public rejection?
What is it
in
with
the
public donation? What is it with the public donation? Why public donation in the first place?
That's the point.
You see, governor should not take it and vex. So now people say now, if somebody use something to talk to you publicly and you consider it a disgrace, just look around you very well. Just might be that there's a level of truth, element of truth in it. You cannot be owing salaries to the knowledge of the bishop and declare him 25 million, money that he doesn't necessarily need, because you know they don't live flamboyant life, simple life, and all of that.
Why are you talking like that?
25 million will come, you don't do anything. And he knows that people honestly, sincerely have earned that 25 million. They're looking up to the governor and wishing, when will the money come? And most of these governors, it's state funds that they are spending. Presently now in Benue State, what's the other governor's name? It is all over the news how bad salary payment has been in that state. Every time the governor comes out, he's focusing on issues of Fulani headsmen, and he's not even addressing people's salaries. So it's not only one place that body used to pay somebody. If you have earned the right to your earnings, to your wages,
you should be paid.
You should be paid your wages before your sweat dries. Saying of the prophet. And then
I like that.
you have left home, you have abandoned families, you've gone to earn something that you know will change their lives, and you come back home every day making an excuse of governor says the state does not have funds. And then the same governor wants to go and buy weapons. You know, these governors like to be in the limelight, make noise, do things publicly, and they get away with it. So I don't want to see this, even though I almost sang Wike's tune on this, I don't want to see it as an insult to the governor. I think the governor should appreciate honest people
around him. But that kind of public, see. If you want to tell me the truth, Nima, let me tell two of you now on the set. I agree. Don't tell me in public. Don't make it embarrassing for me. You can whisper the thing that, but don't worry, I don't want this.
Okay, why do you think that a public donation does not require a public response for it? Why? I mean, because
I wouldn't do a public donation anyway.
Exactly. So if you were given that amount of money and you had met this priest one-on-one and said, this is what I've put together for you as a birthday gift, and he says, my brother, thank you so much. I love this book. You see those people in the congregation. They work for you. They work in this government. And even the tithes and offering has become smaller because we have not been paying them. They are not feeding. I see the sadness on their faces. Oh, God, please, this money, let's add it to salary.
Nobody would have known.
Nobody needs to know. All you know is that the governor has now started paying salaries and people will be like, oh, our wise governor. Nobody will know that there was a wise priest that sat beside him. But the thing with public everything is that you get public response. So when it's wisdom, when some people will tell you that they like to do their things in secret, whatever they want to learn, they will learn it in secret. Your embarrassment and your teachings and mistakes is not public for the world to see. So even if it was meant in to make fun of him or whatever, I hope that he left with the story, I mean with the lesson. So you see, what he has done, the governor has done, where he's able to put money together to give a huge amount of money to give as a gift. The truth is that that's what our federal government does. We have ASU at home, but we hear that they have put money together to buy cars
for another country.
So it's just a way of life. But even us, apart from blaming government, in our homes too, we have some people that do that. There's fees to be paid, there's this, but we stop over at, I don't want to call some business names, I stop over and get some, some stuff, and we do that. And so we need to look at these things better as a people, because whether we like it or not, at the helms of affairs is a reflection of how we behave every day in our everyday lives. So
I like that point that you raised now, and I'm going to come back to it. I hope I don't forget. But I wanted to say that this governor has come out times without number to say that he's not owing these so-called workers, that he did not employ them in the first place. It's been a back and forth in the states that he's not owing them. They said the workers are saying that they've been employed since 2018. And I'm saying, so they were employed. Which offices were they reporting for that long till now? And why were the ministries and departments not closing their doors to such people? So they've reported for so long without your employment, and now they are not getting paid because you did not employ them.
So this is what happens. They will advertise, people will go and apply. They will recruit and say for a period of training. Then they will not confirm. It is not new in the civil service. You have people who wait endlessly. They now go and constitute one group of people, start to go to the labor court, the National Industrial Court, trying to get themselves acknowledged. They will not still spend money. You know, so we need to knit things up. It just doesn't fall on the governor to say, I didn't employ them. You go and find out how those people were assured of jobs within your service.
Which offices are they
Which
reporting?
offices? Then you make somebody a scapegoat. So those people know, truly, it was a farce or a scam. I didn't employ
Ignore
you,
them,
and all of that. Find some, because you see, people need to be engaged, and it is true that in Nigeria now there are no jobs. People need their jobs. It's not just for governor to say. And you see, and there's a part of this public response that the governor got. Let's assume one person will get shame. The other person has to have shame. It's true. We know these politicians, they really don't get shame. They don't send nobody. We have been crying insecurity in the states. Some governors in whose states the insecurity is much are sponsoring weddings in the Bono of the Bonos. We had the biggest of weddings. They are all now online, and you know, I've been wondering, not be the Bono way insecurity.
And they're giving iPhones as takeaways.
Private jets that landed Bono in Meduguri for one wedding. Fear of God, cash me, Sama.
The dress is the most expensive dress in the whole of our history.
Are you there? It's shaking inside my body that is this even possible? Even in Lagos, I would say there's no major problem. Can the type happen without shaking ground? But you know, these governors just go on their normal businesses. Some will tell you, it's my detractors. So, Reverend Father need to clear his own self because he's not a politician. He's the one who people will come to all the time. Father, he's a bishop, he's a Catholic. Father, please, my Pekin, in the hospital. I know, I grew up, I went to school with Catholics. I went to school in a Catholic primary school. I lived with them. I did all their rosettes, their bazaar, their harvest, and all of those events growing up. Till I was a teenager, I used to sit with the planners of their different harvests and make all of those things. Their sacred heart mission, all of that. So I know how people go. I know how many widows will say, now Father, give me school fees for my baby. I know that. So he will constantly be seeing the real
pains of the people,
and the real issues, and be wondering, I hope my conscience and my hand is truly clean before my God. So if one person don't know shame, other person just have to
that's integrity. But I would say, although Miriam has answered that partly, could it also be that the rejection was for clout? You know?
Who is clouting who now?
I don't know. Anybody can clout anybody. We know what happens here.
Because there's a part of the video I heard, and a few people confirmed it, where it says, is that how to clap for 25 million? So after he had made the announcement, the clap was not thunderous enough. And it was like, is that how to clap for 25 million? So I don't know who was really chasing the clout. But, you know, I just wanted to say, with the governor of Cross River State, there's a video that had gone viral one time where he was crying. And so for me, I've always just had a soft spot for him because I just feel that this is a man that is emotionally in tune with what is going on.
I think I need to cry more often so that Mariam will have a soft spot for me. But she doesn't. She's having for Governor Ben Ayade.
No, I'm just saying. And, you know, he gave a story. He talked about that it hurts him to see his people suffer. So that does not mean that good people don't make mistakes. You know, at least we have someone that seems to know that people deserve, you know, better lives and he wants to do better. And for him to even have someone like that priest, the bishop, say that to him, they even think that he's someone that can listen. Because there are some states that they dare not open their mouth to even say something like that. But he must show that, you know, he can even be spoken to or talked to. So let's not just throw him completely away. I just want us to use this opportunity to remind him, you know, to do what is right.
What his responsibilities are.
Another point is, whether we like it or not, this issue of scamming and happening in the civil service is true. We read recently of a particular state that had done thorough investigation, and the numbers that we read out were, you know, mind-blowing. Many people that are ghost workers, people that had their names written twice. people who were in charge, who were supposed to know better, are the ones running this syndicate, you know. So he has to do that job of investigating his civil service. And those who are found to be, you know, have been scammed or were in the know of being, you know, scamming the government should be apprehended and should be punished and made example of. And let's create jobs. Let's do better. Because, you know, this governor has talked about, remember during the COVID, he talked about how he's a scientist. And I've been expecting a lot from, you know, this governor. Let us see that.
All right, thank you so much, Miriam. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we take phone calls and messages. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. So we're still on this Governor Ben Ayade's matter, and I'll be inviting our callers to join the conversation on 081-270-53687 and 091-390-76948. Also sending your tweets and tubes. All right. So we have somebody on the line. Oyekbeju on the line. Good morning, Oyekbeju.
Hello.
Oyekbeju, can you hear me?
Listening to the TV.
All right, we lost that call. So, yeah, Miriam mentioned something earlier, which is if you do in silence, you give in silence, you can be rejected in silence. If you give in public, it's okay also to be rejected in public. And that reminded me, because it seemed to me that you can take responsibility for someone who you feel maybe is not really understanding what people are feeling. Maybe he's not really paying attention to the body language of the people, and you decide, okay, I know that there are needs around this place. Why don't you focus on these needs? With that said, I was thinking that, you know, our president gave out cars recently, that they would take the responsibility to say, okay, President Buhari, we understand what's happening in your country. We know that the insecurity issues are there, banditry, kidnapping, the economic crisis, hunger, and your people are complaining. Why don't you take back the scars, sort them out first? Is this something we should be doing to help other people? Miriam.
I don't know why you called my name, but I just feel that you're joining issues. Let me ask you this question. If in a family where this man seems to be doing okay for himself, and then he gives gifts to the poorer cousin, you know, your poorer cousins, and they receive it, and then the children in the house say, our father gave you this. Do you know we have not eaten in 2 days, but they have not eaten in 7 days, or we have not done. Do you think the cousins will say, oh my God, even in our poverty, we dare not collect this. Come and collect it back. Oga, let's just leave that one aside. That's a different issue. But I wanted us to talk about.
Let me pause you so that I don't lose your thoughts. David from Akure. Good morning, David. Hello. David, are you there? Good morning.
I'm there. Good morning. Hello.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, yeah, I'm here with you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to give kudos to the Catholic bishop. And I wish other bishops and other pastors will learn from that. By somebody will use public funds to make donations to the churches. And meanwhile, the public are suffering. The workers are suffering. If it's other churches, they will collect it and pray for him. Kneel down, they will prophesy a lot of prophecy on the this thing, on the governor. In fact, they can even prophesy 3rd time for him or presidency. But this is somebody who is honest. If you look at the life of bishops, they don't have wives, they don't have friends. What are they going to do with money?
Their lives are simple.
He's not doing. He don't need that money for any reason. So that is why he's saying, use this money and take care of the public that elected you. And
thank you, David. Thank you. So you were saying something?
I was going to exactly where he just talked about, which is, I wanted to say prophets of old. We remember as Christians, since we're talking about bishops, in the Bible, we knew how prophets would come and meet an erring king and insult and curse finish them, curse them, and they leave. and then they'll go and live in the wilderness, and God will feed them with meat from manna from whatever, ravens will come and feed them.
Food for them.
The prophets then, they used to live with the kings and be collecting breakfast, lunch, and dinner and extra money so that they can fly private jets to go and, prophesy in another county. No, they'll just do the work that God has given, and then they'll use their 2 legs and go back into the wilderness. So that we have people like him today. He's just one, sadly, in our times today, he's like one out of very, very few. I don't even know how many. I haven't even seen any. They're just really, maybe 3. There are 2 others that we normally hear their names constantly calling out, bad behavior in our government. And so he should be applauded for that. He also should be grateful. I always feel that if you're surrounded by people that can still tell you the truth, there's something in you. Because there are people today who are surrounded by people who would never tell them the truth. They would never know the truth if they find themselves in a hole. But that you have someone who is able to keep you grounded, remind you of your bad behavior before you make that final mistake that, ends you. You should be grateful for that and remember to just take that.
Before I come to Nima, let me take this call. Arasoni from Abuja. Good morning, Arasoni.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead, you're live.
Yeah, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. I just want to contribute to the discussion on the line.
Okay.
Thank God for the life of the bishop. Thank God for his sincerity. The truth is that it's not about the person. It's about personal character that determines how far somebody goes. For him to reject it, you should have known the extent of what he knows that is passing through in this state. Salaries of workers are not being paid, and the same governor contested, I think, for presidential stuff, or at least, paid almost 100 million, if I'm highly correct. And the same governor is giving somebody another money. Why the people at the state are suffering? The same thing happens across the nation. And you can see how people are crying, people are grumbling. But the politicians will never be the politicians. But I pray that God will give us the grace by 2023 to determine better where we are going.
Thank you so much. Yeah, before I come to Nima, if you were the governor in the first place and you donated that amount of money and the clap was very few, like you were expecting when you drop that kind of memo, you're expecting that people, yeah. All of a sudden, everybody was just like, How would you have reacted? What would you have felt?
Okay, so when you do donations like this, you should be in humility. In fact, you shouldn't even wait for clap, except you don't know what you're doing. You're donating at a religious ground, a church. Donate for God and go. But because it was a statement, that's why the bishop stood out for me. You remember that there's a Reverend Father too, the one that said somebody was stingy.
My sister.
Why are you whispering it?
No, yes. I don't want to call you. That one that said somebody was stingy.
Because it not
cost the person. So, for us to see people like this who know the right thing, the clap was a caution. He missed it by referring to the money and saying donating. That money deserved a thunderous clap, and he needed to be put in his place. Who better to do it than the man of God present?
Okay, let's take this call from David. David from Calabar. Good morning.
Good morning, Ma.
Good morning.
Hello.
We can hear you. You're live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to talk about the topic I'm seeing on TV today.
Okay.
I'm very surprised that TVC is transmitting this kind of message.
I don't understand.
Go on, please.
Go on.
Okay, so yeah, now I wanted to also talk about the responsibility of our prophets, like Miriam mentioned, that in the days of old, their job was to call back an erring leader, whether a governor, or president, a king, and, remind them of what they are there to do. Now, what do we expect from our leaders, our prophets right now, our pastors, our imams? How do we begin to hold them responsible and reminding them of the jobs that they are supposed to do? Because this is election period. Before you know now, they'll be hobnobbing, They will come for 10. You'll be seeing churches, they're hosting this governor today, hosting this politician today. They are coming for this worship, Thanksgiving, and all that. And it's likely that things will be flying under the carpet, under the tables. How do we remind them that they have a responsibility to speak truth to power? Who's ready to go?
Okay, so it is theirs, and not even just anybody. Because before this politicians came, before this kind of governance that we run came, we had a different kind of governance. The places of influence were the places of God.
Yeah.
And it's painful to see how it's been so mixed up and messed up that you can't even tell the difference anymore. Where you're going to somebody and he's telling you, no, that's the order of the day, or where religious leaders are now powerful enough to predict who will win based on their sentiments and biases and their association. And, you know, somebody will say, you cannot win an election. You know,
I don't speak
that's
to my
not
people.
their call. Their call is to give people hope that of a better life, of a salvation, not monetarily, necessarily monetary, you know, and do better to call and check the people in power. So we need that distinction clear. And I hope that this sets a tune that will be replicated over and over subsequently from religious leaders. Even if there are also people that are members of your congregation, they can come in and worship. Let that office not determine how you then receive your message from God.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all we can take on this topic. When we come back, we move on to the next. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. So moving on to another topic. A man, Adeniyi Jose, has committed suicide after strangling his wife, Chidinma Gloria Ibe, to death at the SDP area of Kwamba in Suleja, local government of Niger State. The late Jose was said to have taken a substance suspected to be sniper and was rushed to the Suleja General Hospital, where he was confirmed dead on Wednesday. Neighbors said the late Jose had over the years been doubting his wife's faithfulness to their marriage. We'd like to hear your thoughts on this. You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948, and also tweet to us, tube us, and book us, Facebooking us. This matter of killing a wife or a husband who you have suspected is unfaithful to you, and then taking your own life has become somewhat rampant. I think a few weeks ago we had another person who did the same thing and then attempted to take her life. What do you make of this? Why are we beginning to see people who are not able to handle these issues in marriage, who are not able to pack up their bags and leave when this is happening? Why are we resorting to killing somebody and then thinking of taking your own life? Is it just about the marriage problem, or is there another problem that we likely need to be talking about?
Put and work.
I know just one called it.
It means say you are thinking what I'm thinking.
Please tell us.
You know, so some people are not just whole inside. It's important that we understand whoever it is we are dealing with and how to manage them. Because marriage for me is still about loving the other person. If you want to stay with somebody, you accept them the way they are and the way their mentality is. For some people, they are strong mentally, they can handle cheating. They can take it and say, okay, I'll walk out. And some people, it messes them up. They don't know how to think. So it's not a good thing to play around. You say that, religion tries to regulate it by calling it adultery, putting a punishment hard on it. That, our modern life has helped us to water down. Traditionally, we disgrace because there's always a victim. They will say an unfaithful woman kills her husband. Nobody talks about an unfaithful man. All of those things is because some people don't have the mental capacity to deal with that, issue. So it's important when you're in a marriage. It's either you're ready. If you're not ready to be faithful, committed to one person, don't need to do the ceremony. Let the person understand you're dating him. You're open to open relationship. Don't bother to marry. Do you understand? Leave the thing open. Use your full chest. Carry your way of life. So the person doesn't expect so much of you. But some women, you go all the way to... I'm not judging this person because she's dead and we did not get our own side of the story.
Wow.
I'm just trying to make a case out there for the mental capacity of one person, because what we see here is that one person was able to destroy 3 lives. himself, his own, her own, and the young, poor son
There's a child
who did not plan any of their own. So people should have a complex thought process of every decision they're making in life. How does it affect you? How does it affect your dependents? How does it affect people who are around you before you go ahead and do it? We've seen where a woman wanted to, to react to cheating. Maybe because now it's the man who is cheating. She decides, oh, I will kill you, I will kill myself. She puts a poison in a meal, and the man's friends come visiting. Everybody.
Chineke.
We took it in the papers. Everybody line up dying. Only a few people survive in the hospital, still holding and dealing with the poisoning. So people must have complex thinking. Is it your intention to destroy the lives of the 14 friends that visited
14
and decided to shook hands inside food? Is that your intention? So people must have a complex thinking, thought process. The law calls it foresight. To be able to predict that, this could be other attendant consequence of one action that you take. So maybe it was one person, you wanted to just, hit him on the head. You throw something at him, he bounces off to the child, sleeping, or somebody else, and you kill some. You must be able to calculate it completely. This man, obviously, is not a mentally strong, stable person. He went on, and what he has done now is destroyed. There's also stigma. The families now are not there. They are the two most closest to protect that boy. The two of them are not there. The people protecting that boy, if God does not send an angel,
he use it against him.
Remind him. Then even if he's not reminded, he just will grow up. He's old enough, 2014 till date, the child should be about 8 or so years. The child is old enough to know what killed both parents. He will now be living traumatically through their experiences all through his life. We must be able to do this, or else don't bother getting married. Live a free life. It's not for everybody.
Let me come to Mariam.
I mean, just as it's just a sad situation all over. The truth is, this is about mental health, and this is also about conflict resolution. Yeah. Some people have always have never really known how to deal, have never learned how to deal with conflict. When something is really tough, what are the steps to take to protect yourself first, and make sure that you don't make a mistake that you cannot come back from. This is not something that's just happening. It's not like it's rampant now. It's just that I feel with social media, we're able to find these stories, and, and it's a good thing, because then we learn lessons from that. We learn lessons from those who have the tendencies to behave like this, and for those who find themselves with people like that, and hopefully maybe see the signs quick enough so that they can leave that area. But, the sad thing about people like this that determined to hunt you down and end a life is, we have heard of those who have left marriages like that or relationships like that, and these people would find them until they have done that they have put in their mind to do. And it's just, in cases like that, you just pray also for a strong support system, for strong policies with the government, and social services, maybe provide protection for for any of the vulnerable spouse that find themselves in a situation like this. It's sad. Every time I read stories like that, I just feel sad. Like, this is the end. The death is the end of it.
Everything.
But it's also the beginning, especially when children are involved. And then the families also on the other side. Parents are involved. So imagine the parents of the victim, the first victim. How are they supposed to relate with the family of the man that killed their wife or the woman that killed their husband?
When you're going to relate, you realize that the man has died.
Yes, and then you're looking at a grandchild that you say the father has just done this or the mother has just done this to her child. It doesn't work out well. However you look at it, it just does not work out well. And so I hope that people, when they find themselves in tough situations like that, that they will remind themselves that, I can take myself out of this situation and just save it. There's that problem of ego. How can this happen to me, the man? Or how can this happen to me, this queen of a woman that I am, that everybody, So those are the things also that play a part in this. And we just have to find ways to settle it.
If I come
support
back to you,
system is important.
Yeah. So, you know, you mentioned knowing and seeing some of these red flags. In my relationship with people that have one issues in marriage or the other, I've realized that it's not like there's a lack of the red signs. It's not like they did not see it. Some see it and identify it, but they're not willing to move. They always have this at the back of their head that this person will change, and they continue. So how do we now stop you as a human being when you see that this person has a tendency to go this way from getting into the marriage? They will say you want to scatter their marriage. You want them to fall out of love. You are beefing because you are not married. How do we get people to begin to reason properly? Now, how do we know someone who has a mental issue? You may not know.
And so you would have been exhibiting certain traits. In this story, because I got this story from another blog, the sister was the one who found the younger sister of the woman was the one who found her sister dead, strangled with rope and the pillow on her face before she broke into the door and found the man unconscious. That was after he had consumed poison.
What he did.
So she was saying that this wasn't his first attempt at trying to kill her. So this is an unstable man. You know, I always say that family self can save. They didn't
do anything.
Her account was that, you know, his first attempt had been when her sister had to travel to finish their father's house. Their father was with a reputable civil service. He had retired and his pension was suggested by his children to be used for his house. And because their sister was the most educated, she was also nominated to proceed for that, to travel to their village for that work to be done for that project, which she did. And when she went, her husband kept suspecting, where did you go, where did you go, where did you go? She did not fall out of the moon. She has family members. So a man who is possessive, who is uncontrollably jealous, who is unstable, suspicious of every move, it's not a good case of marriage. You need somebody that's the head. Correct. Somebody you can hold a conversation with. Knowing some men, that's the final. No, you don't need that kind of man. It's two. And communication is the real trick.
It's good that you mentioned this, Nima. Because I have seen
young girls to talk to somebody. Then you're in a relationship and the man is saying, don't worry, I'll take care of you. Some women understand it to mean, I'll give you money. It means, for some, I will control every single thing you do.
About you.
The moment you marry me, you lose your intellectual capacity, your ability to think. You cannot reason anything. You know, women, the way we have this back eye of seeing things, you want to converse with somebody and convince them, and they'll be like, in my own case, it even was a lawyer. So,
anything you say
is already. Whereas you have the ability, God has blessed us with that ability to calculate things. And also, if a woman makes an excuse about her family, as a man, you are patient. And you can investigate that. What is stopping you from following your wife to their village?
If you are so pressed.
If you are so pressed. Why do you even have to follow?
Since they are telling you where they are going, it will not satisfy you. You don't have life. Follow.
You know, talking about red flags is important to say it, especially to young girls who are beginning to date, you know, I understand. And also young men too, please. I'm not separating them. Also young men. There's some things but the reason I say young girls, because I hear this from girls more, where a boyfriend is possessive, is acting not whatever, normal, but she finds it endearing. Oh,
exciting.
Like yes, exciting. He loves me so much, he's so jealous. If anybody even calls me like this, hey, this will fall down. You see them smiling and giggling about it. Auntie, that's a red flag. That is not funny. I say there's this story that I read recently about twins. She said she's an identical twin, and she had met her boyfriend who had never met her identical twin, and he traveled. And then he asked her, he was supposed to travel, and asked her, where are you? And she says, I'm at a club. And then he comes to the club. She didn't know that he was still around. And he sees her twin sitting on her own boyfriend's lap. He thinks it's his girlfriend and immediately approaches the other one, beating serious basketballs in front of the whole world. Before they now told him, no, that's the twin. This is your babe. And then he kneels down and says he's sorry. And the twin sister is telling her sister, you better let this one go. She was like, no, why should I leave him? He has even knelt down in front of the whole world to show how sorry he is. So why should I leave him? So that for her is like, this is someone that is really there to fight and protect my honor. It's a red flag, Auntie. It's not about protecting you.
We'll have Charles. Good morning, Charles.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Go ahead, you're live.
It's about this issue of marital violence. This issue is encompassing. It's not just all about the mental health. It also deals with anger. It also deals with serious anger. There are some people who cannot control themselves when they are angry. So I suggest that before people come together as a people to raise a family, you should be able to go into serious studies about what you are about to go into. And a preacher once said that when we go to school to study about plants and animals, we spend 4 years in studying them. But when it comes to vital things like marriage that you stay for a whole time, you just spend 2, 3, 4 weeks, start dancing, married. So I think we should, especially in churches, people should do more about educating the people about what they want to get involved in. And especially preachers, you also reduce this aspect of when once you are married, it is for better, for worse. That's why people go into marriages and they feel that they are not treated well. They are there because of the Christianity they are practicing.
All right, thank you so much, Charles.
You cannot.
Thank you, Charles, for that. So he's talking about going to school, and that was supposed to be my next line of thought. We're not properly prepared for this thing called marriage. We don't have schools where you can go and learn how to have proper conversations with your spouse, how not to let emotions get in the way most of the time so you can see clearly. We need to start looking into that. All these therapists, psychologists need to start designing programs into that so that people can actually get ready. Because anything can happen in that marriage. Your patience will be tried almost every minute of the day in marriage. Some of us have been married for that long, we understand. But if you don't have that ground footing on how to communicate, have a conversation, you understand me, I understand you, we come to a compromise, we come to an agreement, it becomes a major problem. But you know, you were saying something about the twin who was, he knelt down and everything. We need to start paying attention to how we raise our children. Some people don't know how to receive love. What they define as love is abusive and toxic. I had a friend in the university who the boyfriend will beat basbos. She will faint. She will be in coma for like 3 days. She dated this guy for 7 years. And her excuse is that he loves me. He loves me. If he sees me talking to a man, he will show that he's the man, that she can't date anybody who doesn't beat her to show that he's territorial. For me, it was ringing in my head like, this girl has no clue, because I came from that sort of home and I told myself this is not the kind of love that I want. How do we begin to help people around us to understand what real love should be? Nima, I have a lot of young girls. Mary,
just by keep talking, we just need to keep talking, showing them examples of how when people stay in abusive, toxic relationships, how it affects them. And we need to also keep talking to boys as well. So it's not just girls, because we're seeing this also where we're hearing stories of men who find themselves in toxic relationships, are unable to leave because as the man, there are some things you should swallow and just take, you know. So you're right, they need to be able to determine what is toxic, what is abusive, and what's real. You see that thing of the girl that talked in university. I remember in class, a lecturer was just talking about something random, and beating came up as a conversation. And this adult girl stood up and said, yes, it's okay for a man to beat. And it was shocking to a lot of us. We were like, whoa. But for her, and also obviously where she comes from, is fine. And she tried to justify it. She says, it shows that a man cares for you. He's supposed to be there to guide you and to protect you.
But my father that you are.
Yes, she's a full adult in the university.
No, she's not grown finish.
She's not grown finish.
I mean, yes, there has to be, but that is how they've been raised. So we need to speak differently. You're even lucky that you're able to separate yourself from that, because for most people that grow up in situations like this, they just carry on. That's what they know. That's how they've been socialized. That's how they've been brought up. So that's what they would expect from where they're getting. We have heard people who talk down at men who are really kind and understanding.
Yes,
and say, this person is a weak man. This man does not really show his strength. He's not a man. And, you know, we put them aside, and you find these women end up in very abusive, toxic
men that don't respect them.
Young girls, young men too, you must know what these red flags are. Yeah. Don't be with someone that's constantly prodding and poking you, yes, and pushes you, you know, and you're very angry. When you find yourself in a situation where someone is constantly doing that, take yourself out. Immediately. And it's okay to just say bye. You know what, for my mental health, for my own good and my sanity, it's okay to walk away.
Okay, so we have another caller, Idironke. Good morning.
I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show, Idironke.
Thank you very much. I've been a fan of this show for a very long time, but I've not been able to access your line. But thank God I'm here this morning.
Thank God. We're happy for you.
Thank you. What the topic you are discussing really is a very, very sensitive topic, I need to tell you. But let me talk from my own experience. Marriage, I lost my husband sometimes. I'm a widow before, but I had to remarry.
Okay.
But in this present relationship I am now, I tell you, it's not like, you know, my previous husband that died. But because he's not an abusive man, that's what I'm enduring. But, you know, when it comes to the character, I mean, he argues over everything. He just wants to argue and argue and argue. I tell you, I really don't know how to put it. Young ladies coming now, you know, when you advise them, they don't tend to listen.
Yeah.
They just believe you want to scatter their present, you know, relationship.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like you have said, a lot of seminars, a lot of talks have to be done. Like Nima said, you know, you don't have to be married. You don't have to. It is not by force.
Yeah.
It is not by force, but it is because of the society we are in. That, you know, that if you ask me, they think it's just one of the successes of life. But there are a lot of single women who are, you know, who are better off. And a lot of us who are even married are even living singles.
Yeah.
We are living like singles. I tell you, if I had known, I wouldn't have even considered, you know, considering remarrying. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have. But because I've, you know, I had another children in this relationship, I just want to, you know, see how it goes. I don't want a broken home. But if the man has been abusive, anyway, I will have walked away. Because I'm the one even doing all the responsibilities.
Oh, Chukwu.
The man we are even talking about, that's my own husband. He's not even doing anything for me now. He's a lazy man. He will tell you he doesn't have money. I was not contemplating. If I had even known, I would have even stayed, you know, being a widow. So that's my own personal account. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for sharing. That's being so vulnerable.
Miriam, before the call, that, you know, let's dispel some of this myth about, you know, how love should be, you know, and then the caller called. I don't agree with her word use of lazy. They're just men who are irresponsible, who really do not care. But being lazy can also be insulting to a man who is trying his best but is not meeting up. Okay. So I would not necessarily use that word. But the first time I heard that it is love to slap a woman, I heard it from a woman who enjoys being slapped.
Jesus.
She said that, you know, she is very temperamental, and when she's very angry with her husband,
she needs to be calmed down.
Let her buy her a bottle of one of these alcohol brands I don't want to mention.
Calm her down.
Then she will calm down.
Yes.
I was about 14. And I knew, because I come from a home where
it's different.
It's totally different. How do you want to convince me that's how they love people? Then I grew up and I heard another woman say to me, there's no marriage in this world where the man has never beat the woman. If any woman tells you she has never been beaten, she's a liar.
We tell you.
I say, okay, thank God I'm not from that home. I have never seen my parents beaten. Ever,
what
never.
They see.
Yeah.
What
so
they see.
If I had seen it,
probably
she had just wired me
to receive it.
Yeah.
To believe it, I'll start taking it.
Yeah.
So some of these myths that we hear around, they're so terrible. This is a woman who called. She's a widow. Just probably looking for an opportunity to be loved. This area of every human being needs to be nurtured. And so she went into the wrong person's relationship. Then there will be shaming of by society if she leaves that setting for another and try again. They'll say, you know the shame? You know?
Only
but
you and this.
There's that need. A friend of my coach and myself had the conversation once, and I said, this woman is divorced. Maybe she was widowed. whatever her past was, she deserves a try at marriage. And if she's so happy, why is her happiness paining somebody? Or should she be condemned, die, killed?
Because she's trying to find
Muslims.
happiness. Yeah.
She was married and somebody said, no, she then went to remarry somebody's husband. We will be Muslim. We either want to be Muslim or we don't want to be. Because you know, it's a different arrangement. Yeah. Pick one side. So she had to restart. And that marriage is so beautiful. Wow. You want to condemn it because she married somebody else's husband. And she's not even their mate. She's much older. And see, choose one. You know, we make life so tough for ourselves.
Yeah, I agree.
The issue that should be your concern is the balance for Muslims. If there's that balance, there's no issue. Everybody deserves a right to that happiness and try again. Those examples that Miriam talked about, I heard so many of them. I know a young girl when we were back when I was in university. She was in the Polytechnic. She stayed a 12-year relationship and ended in marriage. And all the 12 years, public slap and beating.
Jesus Christ. And she went ahead.
The one that broke my heart was that the guy was convocated in Unilag. She left the Polytechnic to come to Unilag. Now she carried food for head. The real girlfriends, the side chicks, were on the side, hey! And she was being made to think that because she went to Polytechnic, she's a lesser human being. By the guy she ended up marrying. So we need to help young girls around us by saying the truth, no matter how difficult it seems. If you're, like, as she called that, it's good to say, I wish. If you have a young girl around you, tell the girl that, you see this married thing, know exactly what you're looking out for. Yeah. I had matchmade my best friend with somebody, and she said they were driving on the road, somebody brushed his car, he parked, he went crazy, and he went to fight, and she was like, it's okay. She said, get in the car. Yeah. End of relationship.
Yeah, immediately. Do you
understand? Smart girl. She said she was told, get in the car. She said, immediately. I just took the next available car. May I not see that guy again? His name starts with a T, in case he's watching. May I never ever see that guy again? You know?
T. So, I've heard you.
So that's how she ran. And those are the things that we should be telling young people. Yeah. We know how. We saw a video of a Nigerian married to a white woman who was recently abused. Yeah. She stabbed him, and videos are now surfacing of how she even abuses him once they enter the lift and all the corners that she can find. So you can imagine what kind of life he lived in that marriage. In
that house.
Even if you are a man, they want to call you weak. Please, if I'm your relative, come.
Leave in peace. So, you know, this thing you said is very important, and I think we need to start helping young women understand self-love. If you love yourself, nobody will see red flag on your behalf. You will see it. Once it touches you and it's not going down well with your skin, you will move.
You know, when it's going down well.
No. If you have self-love, it will not go down well.
You know, we just handle those who think it is part of self-love to take it.
That's the wrong self-love, and it comes from a place of beliefs. So they have seen around their home, they have seen women around them saying it's okay to be slapped, it's okay, and it's become a limiting belief in their brain. So that is what they now consider normal. So we need to start helping them change what they consider normal to see what exactly should be normal.
Marriage is for two happy, willing, consenting adults. So happy. Nobody is squatting in anybody's house. Yes, I'm not the man of this house. Nobody say you're not the man. But the poor person, she wasn't living on the street. He did not come and tenant her.
Even if she was.
Two willing, consenting adults who must be able to thrive in a happy, loving environment. So you are growing, the other person has the right to grow. No one plant will die because another plant should be big. That's not how marriage should be. And we must dispel that thought. If you truly love somebody, it is when that person is thriving that you have your fulfillment.
Exactly.
That is how it's supposed to be. Man has the gender.
That is
whether it's a man or a woman. Let's take messages, but let's have your thoughts, Miriam.
A few people are not happy with. They said, "Oh, everything is so sad." They wanted something else.
Sorry.
We have tweets from previous topics.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the bishop did not. This person, the Truth News says, the bishop did not reject the 25 million naira from the governor to the church. What he rejected was the donation the governor said he was going to whisper the bishop personally. Nevertheless, kudos to the bishop. And then this person says, oh, sorry.
Okay, Immaculate Boy says, if you are sick, go see a doctor. Car bad, mechanic, travel issues, travel agent. Why do we go to marital? Why do we go to with okay, so who do we go to? Yes. Who do we go to with marital issues? Akasha Nima is saying people should be strong mentally. Why are cars not strong to withstand rigors. For me, it is therapy. So I agree with him too.
Then Williams Olajimoke says, politicians know that they can easily use religious leaders to reach the people because we're a religious country. I pray religious leaders take up their responsibility to guide us right and not stay on the sidelines. Kudos to the bishop and hope the governor reflects on this. Yeah,
let's have your final words. We're wrapping up. Okay. So this is our advice to young people again, and not just young people. Even if you're in marriage and you suddenly realize that this is no longer, because I have somebody very close to me now who she is natural. I would say naturally, because that's all I've seen since I've known her, resentful and toxic because of what she has been through in marriage. But she's still in that marriage. But everyone she touches just feels like, she's burning people. She's burning people. What advice do you have for that kind of person?
You know, there's something about...
deep.
Yes. You know something about... You see self-awareness. We throw the word anyhow. But you see that thing is a gift if you have it. And it's a curse if you don't have it. If you realize I am in this and it's making me behave like this, is hurting. Once you just come to that realization of, you know, you're able to drop ego aside, everything aside, and look honestly to yourself and what it is you are, who it is you are, and what you're going through, then there are a lot of things you let go. There are a lot of things you come out of. And it's important for people to take that time out and self-reflect and see where you are and how the relationship you are in is affecting the other relationships.
So give yourself the gift of second chances. You know, when the life you're living presently, so for some women or men who stayed on in abusive marriages, they see how it hurts their children, how they, you know, in reaction hurts their family members. Like Miriam said, when you become self-aware, you don't want to be that burning flame, burning
other people around you.
Give yourself the gift of a second chance. No
and everybody should adopt talking to a professional, talking to a therapist, a life coach. Sometimes we say, okay, let's talk to our, you know, leaders in church. Not all of them are equipped to handle those sort of cases. You need to talk to professionals who have the tools to help you even find that self-awareness in the first place. That's all we can take on the show today. Thank you so much, ladies. It's been a wonderful week. We'll see you again on Monday. Bye-bye now.